So I'm here with Omar Ishrak, the Chief Executive of Medtronic. You took over this business 4 months ago at a time when there were some big controversies emerging, particularly in your spine business, particularly with regard to a product called Infuse. How do you adapt Medtronic to this new regulatory environment where both hospitals and insurers and doctors are requiring more evidence for your products, more evidence that they help patients and save money?
Well, a number of things. First of all, in that particular instance, patient safety was a primary concern. And so in that particular instance, we instituted a study, a third-party study by Yale to get the facts out so that we can act on it. The facts were not clear, and a third-party study was required. So in that particular instance, that was necessary. And I think that says that seeking the truth in these matters is critical. Having some understanding of why the pressures are there are important too, and try to improve our processes and align our processes to these pressures are important. The other example I'll use is that thinking of economic value of every offering that we have and every offering that we will work on is extremely important at the onset of any investment that we want to make. So understanding how something's going to be used and why it's going to be economically valuable to our customers and to the healthcare system, either in terms of better healthcare or reduced cost, has to be very clear. And I think that's an alignment, both in terms of economic value and safety, are things that are really driving the pressures. So helping the process, I think, is an important shift in thinking in the medical device industry, which I expect Medtronic to lead in.
On the Yale collaboration, you actually are collaborating with people that a lot of folks think about as industry critics, Harlan Krumholtz and Zeke Emanuel, who was an advisor to President Obama on the healthcare plan. Did you have any pause picking those people as the people that would be deciding how your data would be analyzed on a safety issue?
No, on the contrary, we felt that in something like that, we needed the people who would be viewed as the toughest critics to give us the data so that there would be no question about the quality of the data or the process that we followed. So in many ways, that's what we insisted on, to get the most objective and the most and the toughest critics of the whole industry process to be engaged with us. And again, this type of collaboration and understanding of the problem and aligning with the solution is the way we want to work. So really there was no hesitation. In fact, we insisted that something like this had to happen.
And there's a huge amount of evidence showing that one of your biggest businesses, the cardioverter defibrillators, save lives.
Yes.
But there's been a lot of debate about the utility of spine surgery, whether it's really helping patients, whether they're really feeling better or functioning better as a result of it, and that's part of the reason for the pressure. Is this really a business you want to be in?
Yes, we do, because we think a number of things. First of all, it does do a lot of good to a lot of people. I mean, it helps alleviate pain, it improves deformities in some ways, and with the aging population, this is going to be a problem that is going to be there. Now, we'll have to work through the processes that I described earlier to be objective about the utility of it and make sure that it's applied to the patients who need it. Clearly, there's a need. And so, because that need is there and because we feel that the need will grow, and the fact that we are market leaders today and we have technologies that are exciting for the future, it's a market we really want to be in because we think we can lead it, make a difference, and make a difference to people. And to the degree that there are controversies around its overuse, we want to understand that, again, with data, and then apply the right measures.
When we were talking before, you said that you see huge opportunities in lots of places where medical devices aren't used, like India, you said, could be at 3 billion. I mean, how do you go about moving into markets like that where people don't get implanted cardioverters when they're at risk of sudden cardiac death?
Well, first you have to appreciate the opportunity. And going in there and understanding it and making sure that the company is a culture around taking out therapies and understanding what the levels of penetration are in different countries, analyzing the barriers to adoption and addressing those barriers one by one. And really there's 3 things that typically have to happen. First, it's a matter of awareness. Create an awareness amongst the physician community and the public. And in India in particular, where the patients themselves are paying for the therapy or for the treatment, awareness amongst the public is pretty important. Second is to train the implanters and pick off areas where people are in the area, physicians who need specific training as opposed to brand new physicians. Pick those areas first, train the implanters. And then the third area is one of affordability, and make it easy for patients to afford this. But we think in India specifically, there's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity right now with our existing therapies.
At their existing prices.
At their existing prices to the people who can afford it. Which is, just because of the size of India, the opportunity is in the multiple billions. Now, even if I'm wrong by a factor of 2, it's still $1 billion opportunity.
Right.
And so clearly there's the opportunity there. And again, awareness, training of implanters, and making it easy for people. I mean, just because they can afford it doesn't mean that's easy. Mm-hmm. So we're going to make it easy for people to afford it, alleviate their fears of the therapy to some degree. So again, look at this in a very granular fashion, therapy by therapy, and address those barriers one by one, and just do this as a continuous process, country by country.
As regulators and insurers get tougher in terms of what they'll pay mm-hmm. in places like the U.S., mm-hmm. how do you see your balance between getting existing products to places like India mm-hmm. and inventing new products, which has traditionally been a strong suit for Medtronic?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think the balance will have to shift. I think the balance absolutely will have to shift. The newer therapies will be there, but we have to look at this thing objectively in a business context of what the cost is of growth and what the risk is of growth. And when you look at an existing therapy and you want to get it to improve the adoption of that therapy in a place like India, then there really isn't science involved in this. It's a matter of execution, and there's a certain risk associated with it, and we've got to objectively evaluate that risk against a therapy that doesn't exist today, and there's science associated with whether it'll work or not. And although there may be physicians available who can do it, but it may not work. And there's a different kind of risk associated with that, and there's a cost associated with that. So we've got to look at this in a business context, in a balanced fashion, as to the cost of investing in a program, the overall return, and the risk of that return. And based on that, we've got to have a balanced approach. But given historically where we've been, I'll make no secret of the fact that there will be a cultural shift towards more penetrating existing therapy, the increased penetration of existing therapies in markets where they've not been adopted. That will be, there'll be more of that compared to brand new therapies.